No one wants to think about getting into a car accident, but if it does happen to you and you feel okay, you may be tempted to refuse medical treatment. Dr. Eddie Leonard, CEO of Florida Medical Wellness Group, says that's a mistake. He joins us now to explain why. It's good to have you back, Dr. Leonard.
Thanks, Kendall.
You know, when I was looking into this yesterday, I think the biggest takeaway that got me thinking is after you're in a car accident, if you've ever been one, we don't want anyone to get into a car accident, but your adrenaline is going. You're not really thinking straight, and sometimes you might not realize there might be a problem there even if you don't feel it.
You're spot on. That happens more often than not. The number one injury after a motor vehicle accident is whiplash. And whiplash can take an hour, a day, a week, or up to 6 weeks to even feel symptoms.
Wow.
And so the reason we say get checked out immediately is there's x-ray techniques we can use, especially with this software technology, that allows us to investigate if you experienced whiplash. Because the way the Florida laws are structured, Governor Scott signed into a law really limiting accident victims on how long they can get seen or evaluated by after an accident. Mm-hmm. So it's only 14 days after an accident.
And that changed recently.
Yeah, said. That was in the last few years. Okay. It was driven by the insurance company lobby because there's a lot of abuse in this arena. Mm-hmm. So they really created this window of not allowing certain patients to get evaluated. So sometimes if whiplash does take 3, 4, 5 weeks to present, they just don't have an ability to be seen or can't afford to be seen. And I'm not also advocating that we clog up our ERs. ERs are the general rule of thumb, not direct medical advice, is if it's bleeding, if it's broken, if you're dizzy and vomiting, go to the ER.
Right.
If it's not, it might not be. Don't clog up the ERs where people need emergency care. But there are a lot of providers that do specialize in accidents and look for whiplash a little finer tooth than a CAT scan in an ER anyway.
And so there are some other, what other types of physical problems do you see people have after wrecks, the ones that don't obviously present themselves right away?
Yeah, so a lot, you get that, the tough guy mentality where, I'll be fine in a few weeks, and if they wait too long, that also happened. I had a really recent case of an existing patient who tried to get in with his primary care physician, and they had a 4-week wait list. And by the time he gave up after 3 weeks and just popped in and said, I don't know, I didn't think to see you first, he lost his opportunity to get treated for that under his insurance.
Well, how does Florida Wellness help these patients deal with some of these problems and attack them right away? This is often without prescription drugs, right?
Yeah, most often. We have that as a backup if we need it, but structural physical issues, we like to manage with structural intervention. Mm-hmm. So if you have whiplash, we really like physical therapy, chiropractic adjustments, massage therapy. Dry needling is really trendy right now.
Dry needling,
yeah,
what's that?
It's kind of like a trigger point injection meets an acupuncture treatment.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's without medicine, but it's the same principles of a trigger point injection. Mm-hmm. So it's relatively safe. There's no real side effects because there's no medication involved. So we really advise anyone currently under care, if they've had care, you don't want to necessarily seek out advice from a medical legal referral service. Ask your Facebook friends who's had good experience, who went to a clinic that wasn't a cookie cutter experience, and you'll get better advice from those avenues than calling someone who's paid subscriber to a medical legal
So
service.
I think the overall takeaway is here, don't wait. Call and make an appointment right away, and you can get checked out at Florida Wellness for all these problems, especially the whiplash, which you don't often feel.
Yeah, if it goes untreated, that's what starts that arthritis in the spine and the degenerative process. So we'd like to spot it early and not have problems 15 years down the road, which I see a lot of because people do ignore these things, as you mentioned.
Dr. Leonard, thank you so much. It's always good to have you. And we're going to have more talk about this too on the Florida Wellness Facebook page too.
Yeah, we're going to go Facebook Live, take some questions if anybody has some, and thanks for having me, Kendall.
And that'll be right after the show.
All right.
All right, Florida Wellness Medical Group has offices in Pasco and Hillsborough counties. You can get more information by visiting floridawell.com.